My name is Aaron Stone, and I wanted to talk about the No Child Left Behind Act. It was a piece of legislation that passed in 2001 underneath George W. Bush administration as a federally mandated curriculum change in the United States education as a whole. In order to get some background information in the American education system, I wanted to talk about one of the first times in history education was a priority for Americans. World War II. Not during the war itself, but immediately following. The war ended in 1945, and colleges across the nation had a huge influx amount of disciplined youth obtaining a college degree. This is due to the fact that the GI Bill making college affordable for a much larger portion of the U.S. It took only 5 years after the initial boom before colleges felt the only students they got were ignorant, undisciplined, and not anywhere near the same caliber they'd gotten accustomed towards. William Everett was the Dean of the College of Engineering at the University of Illinois. He took it upon himself in 1961 to unite high schools in the hopes of creating a math curriculum capable of ensuring high school students were truly ready for college. Overall, nobody really listened, and it led to no change. It took another 6 years before Americans cared about the importance of teaching math. In 1957, Sputnik took place, and the space race for the first nation to reach the moon began. This united millions of Americans into reprioritizing the importance of math and science, and this also became one of the few times in American history that it was almost patriotic to excel in either math or science because of the fight over which nation is better. This led, for the first time ever in American history, calculus was being taught in high schools. The time period is very short-lived because Americans won the space race. Neil Armstrong, who was walking on the moon in 1969. Slowly, Americans quit having a high priority in teaching youth, and conceptual aspects were becoming too impractical. Back to Basics was a call to arms in the education system that struck for the entire 1970s decade. It was not quite as dramatized as this picture, but Americans wanted real-world practicality. There was no standardized curriculum yet, and it was still up to the states and how to shape the minds of the youth. The 80s and 90s had small changes here and there, but all those changes were small-minded. They needed to take a step back and look at America as a whole when it came to education. The No Child Left Behind Act hit Congress, and in 2001, it was the first time in educational history a federally mandated program was going to tackle the education problems as a whole. To simplify, all students must pass the standardized tests of their state to graduate from high school. There's an instant uproar, but this act is the first this nation saw. Now that you have some background knowledge of the American education system, I wanted to go a bit more in depth. Neher employees' main focus was on different learning styles. They strongly supported teaching youth why something works, rather than just drilling information into their brains. Flat out, they were also motivated. The passing of the new No Child Left Behind Act making McKinley High School only had a 40 to 50% passing rate due to the fact that only 40 to 50% of students could pass the math section of the WASL. Obviously, this is not the case nationwide, but imagine this was your high school. I can flip a quarter to tell you whether or not you're going to receive a high school diploma or not. The school had a dramatic increase in effective teaching math since then by teaching what is fundamentally and how it works. School Innovation by J. Lee, H. Shin, and L. C. Emo is a huge aspect of the NCLBA. Failing schools go through a reform process in the hopes to improve their failing test scores. They must do better or they start losing funding is the general threat schools face. We talk about the need to customize the approach and guidelines because every school is unique. School size, student-to-teacher ratio, number of free lunch eligible students, and parental participation were the areas that they gathered their data collection. But the list continues. The goal is for 100% passing. What is going to make America as a nation head in that direction effectively in both time and resources is customizing to the school's needs. Al Jones goes over the need of changing the focus being on making our students be good test takers too, instead of prove the students' success overall. Research very compellingly displayed the simple fact: good students score well on tests, but a good test taker doesn't often make a good student. Test in reading, writing, and math, but don't skimp in not creating a well-rounded education for the students, because you're ultimately hurting everybody. In conclusion, education is continually being evolved. It's not a high priority in people's lives currently, and for the most part, people are good with the status quo. I truly wish we had something as perfect as a race to get a man on the moon again. This nation needs unity to improve education, and the No Child Left Behind is an amazing step for uniting our nations towards this cause. I'm just waiting for the next wake-up call that makes our nation motivated. In closing, my references for the speech, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my input.